Good morning and welcome to the show. This is In Touch and I am Beth, your hostess. In Touch is our weekly half-hour public affairs show, which means at the end of the program today, if you are a member of a nonprofit group or organization here in the Hudson Valley, or you are a company helping out a nonprofit group or organization, we'd love to talk with you about what is important to you, the issues that are of concern to you here in the Hudson Valley. So at the end of the program today, I will have all of my information, contact information for you. So let me first tell you this is pre-recorded. Any websites, Facebook, phone numbers, know that we will all have it, and know that you can find all that information online at the website of the station that you're listening to. So keep that in mind. So let me tell you, we're going to be talking about Kaatsbaan International Dance Center. We have Bentley Rotan. I did pronounce the last name correctly?
Beautifully.
Bentley, did I? Okay. El Presidente, as I always ask people how they want to be introduced. That's what you said, so that's what we got. And co-founder of the Kaatsbaan International Dance Center and former, I loved how you said former hoofer and gymnast. And you've done so many things. My life is so boring that it's just so boring. But Bentley, thank you very, very much for being here and taking the time.
It's great to be here again.
I know, which is nice. I'm glad you guys are back. And Phil is here, who has the patience of a saint. And like, Beth, would you please talk to me? Can we please book a date, please? Could we please do this? So Phil Tarango is here. He's vice chairman of the center, Kaatsbaan, and also, how did I write this? Involved in so many places we wouldn't know what to do at Kaatsbaan International Dance Center. I think that's a fair statement to make. So, Phil, thank you very, very much. So I must tell you that they're sharing a microphone. We've had a few technical issues, but we're making it through. So I just want everyone to know that. Also know that you will be able to hear this online. But let's talk about Kaatsbaan. And we always talk before we turn the microphones on. I always like to start with kind of let's get everybody caught up. Let's get everybody reminded of what this is. So Bentley, you're going to be taking the first question and tell us, what is Kaatsbaan?
Well,
in one simple word, let me think.
It's primarily a creative dance residency. Real estate in New York is very difficult and very expensive for dance companies now. They used to be able to have lofts in different areas of downtown, uptown, and places. Those are all gone. Construction, big buildings have taken over. And so there is no real place for dancers to go into the studio and create and just work. And so that's what came up. We first came up and started this in 1990. So it was a long startup, but at that time, dancers were fleeing New York City, or even shutting down because there was just no place for them to work and create.
That's a shame.
It was a shame.
Which is an understatement.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the space to be able to work and create and see what it will do, you're done.
It's true. Many things are happening in New York City like that. Even the beautiful historic buildings. When you go down there and you see them coming down and then seeing some humongous thing coming, there's no room in there for a big dance studio.
Right.
And what dancers need is space. I mean, it's a space and real estate situation. So that's when I actually moved up to the area somewhere in, I think it was about 79, 81, somewhere at 79, just fully moved up here, and suddenly other people were fleeing New York and coming up here because they needed space.
Right.
And so that's why we started at several different places. We looked at the old lodges. We spent a lot of time looking for the right kind of place, could either be adapted or whatever, and it needed to be a big space. Because it was not just the little small dance companies, but it was some of the big dance companies. For instance, we had one of the largest companies we had perform back in, I think it was probably about 91 or 92. And then again in 2002, the Eichmann Ballet from St. Petersburg, Russia came.
Wow.
And they had no place to rehearse a company of that size. I mean, because 65 dancers is a lot to stuff into a rehearsal studio in New York.
Right.
So we built this building, the first studio complex in 2000. Mm-hmm. And that opened up the doors for all of these people because we have a stage that are the working, it's the working size of the Metropolitan Opera House stage. Because some of the companies that work there are used to the Metropolitan Opera stage.
Right.
Which is very large.
Yes.
But they have many stages. They slide them in from one side, they elevate them down, up. They come from everywhere. But we find that it gives everybody that space to really spread out and work. And also, they have that they can work 24 hours if they want, and some of them almost do.
I never thought about that because if you're going to be performing at the Met, someone else is going to be on. It's not like you have carte blanche. Like,
that's right.
You know, you're going to be doing how many dates? Well, then there's someone else that's going to be possibly in the day or in a night in between. So you can't just, if they're moving stages up, down, and around, your set isn't going to be there all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
wow.
It's... It really was amazing, and the work that was being produced showed the lack of facilities. I mean, I worked with the Paul Taylor Company going back a number of years, and we were down on just below Canal Street, and there was a big square post right in the middle of the workspace. So if you every time we're performing on a stage, we'd suddenly, in our minds, you'd still see that big post, and the choreographic work sort of.
Oh man!
It was there, but he was a master choreographer. So he made it all work, but it was always things like that of the spaces that you could get. Now the other trouble is. You have a studio for an hour, and then the others are standing at the door waiting for you to get out when you're renting a studio by the hour. Right. So you haven't gotten all your work done.
And plus, if you're in the middle of a creative process, if something is not working or it feels stiff or it feels something that you don't want it to, you then have to stop.
Yeah.
You're in the middle of trying to make this work. How can I adapt it? And now that shuts that down because you got to get out so someone else can come in. And at Kaatsbaan, things can become organic and they can they can evolve, and you have that opportunity.
We we sometimes have two companies there at one time, but we try as much as possible to have one company. But if we can find a way to have two companies there, it's good because. But they're there. They, as I said, they have it 24 hours. If they want to work all night, they can work all night. It's great, and they usually finish. And it also cuts down on their cost because the new production thing. Is an expensive process. You're paying dancers, and you're not performing this. You're not getting the box office, the benefits of the box. You're just paying the dancers to work.
Got it.
So the shorter the creative time is, the shorter, less money that goes out. I
never thought about it like that, but you're right.
There are many little things that you don't
because you're paying them to rehearse. You're paying them to be there. You have to because they have to know they must be paid. But they're not performing. They're not bringing in the revenue at that moment. At that moment, all the money is going out.
And of course, during all of that time, they're praying for a grant.
Yeah, there's that too. Yes.
And those ain't flying in right now very well.
No, and those are not easy. No, those are not easy.
They really aren't.
And there's an art to writing grants, and there's all of that. And
some of the grants that you get will be 55 and 60 pages. And it takes I don't know why they need all that information. They should be concerned about the quality of the talent that they are receiving,
Right.
which is what is the real crux of the economic development, because if the audience comes and likes what they see, they're going to want to come back again.
Right.
You know.
Exactly.
And one of the things that I think is really nice in this area is evolving slowly, but it's evolving substantially with cultural activities.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's busy.
Yeah.
People are doing stuff. And I think in a way we're beginning to compete, not compete literally, but in numbers. Jacob's Pillow, for instance, is a place, just try and get a ticket there at the last minute. They're sold out constantly. And everything is going on in that county, and to the point that they have formed a state agency to deal just with that, because guess what? It's their main economic development, tourism, and it's paying for itself.
Right.
And that's what we're hoping this is going to bring to the area, too, a little more. But it doesn't come all free. You have to have the things that go with tourism, economic development. And I think the people in the Dutchess County tourism are working very hard to move forward. And they also have some very good people in there. And now I think there's a new structure for the Dutchess County Council on the Arts. It's now a
yes,
group
it is.
thing.
Yep.
And
Arts Mid-Hudson.
Arts Mid-Hudson.
Mid-Hudson. And I think that's going to really do a lot of good. Linda Marston Reed we've met with her a few times, and she knows what she's doing,
which is great. I had been on that board, and I was on the board for I forget how long, back in 2003.
Ah, well.
And
great.
I've been at Kaatsbaan, and I was there and head of the campaign for what was then the Dutchess County Arts Council, and so I thought this was a great move. You look at how the area is adapting and adopting. And all that is going on. And, it's funny, Bentley, you mentioned, that it's like an economic driving force. And that's what you're hoping that Kaatsbaan is. And it's also that as more and more companies come and they know that this space is there, and look at what you can achieve with that. And I think it's also, yes, it's putting people in the seats to come see a show. But I also, obviously, there's this give and take when people are on the stage, between the stage and the audience, and who's on. And
very much
and
so
if they feel... if the companies feel that there is an appreciation for their work,
and
that people love it, they're like, we have to be back. We must be back.
And they do come back.
Yeah.
With the thing now, there's a choice around. There are so many venues now. There's a choice, and this is really it's. I don't like to look at it as competitive. But when the area is fully aware of all the conscious venues that they're aware of, I think, and they go to them, there'll be enough for everyone.
Yes.
Because it's going to grow in a wider thing. We now are doing literally a performance every weekend. And we have some really nice audiences.
Which is cool.
And meanwhile, wonderful things are going on everywhere. And when you can accommodate an area, can start to really accommodate a lot of people, then you're going to realize the income of coming from the outside.
Yep.
And now we're getting people from all around a radius, and the New York City weekend people come, even though they like to come up here and do nothing, but they do come to us, and I think that's for all the other things too.
Well, let's talk about, you talked about and kind of teased us the fact that there's a show every weekend.
Yes.
And did not tell us the schedule. But let's kind of do a recap, because you guys, this season has already started and there's been some amazing performances. And so we want to remind people that you don't want to miss them. So what has already happened as a little appetizer for people to realize you should be there in the next few months?
Yes. the thing that's I'll say first, there are 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 5 companies that have already, maybe there's 6 that have already performed here this year in the season that started early in spite of the weather. We had
this amazing winter that never left us alone.
We broke our tractor. We broke the ice turned to ice, and they couldn't move it. But we thought, nobody's going to come, and we had a sold out house for
That's
our
great.
flamenco company.
That's beautiful. People were like, we need something because we're going stir crazy, and Kaatsbaan is right there. Very cool.
Carlota Santana and her company from Madrid came in, and they warmed up. They brought some of the warmth of Spain, and we had to bring in chairs.
That's a beautiful problem.
And it is a lovely problem.
Yes.
And because this theater is a small theater, it's 158 seats. Because again, we weren't planning on having 1,529 seats or 900 and something seats.
Because it's a workspace.
It's a workspace.
Right.
And it's a showcasing space.
Right.
So what happens with these companies, they come in and they rehearse for a week, 2 weeks, even some cases 3 weeks. Then they preview the program.
Oh, very
Most
nice.
of it is either a reconstruction of a program that they did maybe 10 or 15 years ago, and now they want to bring it back into their repertoire, or it's a totally new production. And this gives them a chance to try it out. They preview it. So I tell the audience, you've seen it here first. Then they'll open at the Joyce or City Center or other places, the major
That's very
venues
cool.
in New York.
That's very
and then
cool.
They do a U.S. tour. Now, the Eichmann Ballet that came in, they did a major production, opened at City Center in New York, got rave reviews. And, of course, they said in the New York Times when they were interviewed that the reason they could do that because they had this big studio space at Kaatsbaan.
Good for them and good for you.
Now
You
want to come
cannot
back.
pay for that kind of publicity.
Yeah, that's right. And now we have housing. We can house about 40-something people in it's not a dormitory. It's kind of a motel-type situation.
Right.
And that way they're there on the side.
And that's how they can work. If they want to work 24 hours, they can do that.
They hear the birds sing. They hear the deer.
How great is
the
that?
The deer come to attention as they walk down the path.
Dancers are present, and the world takes notice.
Yes.
Yes.
And so do the deer.
And so do the deer.
The head snaps to the right, always.
So what do we have coming up? So what can people see that's on the way?
We've just come through. Maybe I should mention these companies real quick because some of the people, these are the companies that people have come to know. And that's why, in spite of what all else is going on, we still get a relatively full house. We had recently Carolyn Dorfman in April, Carolyn Dorfman Dance Company, Buglisi's Dance Theater in April 26th. These are people who've well-established companies in New York now. They've been there for, Dorfman is 35 years, I believe, with her company. Jackie Buglisi is about 25 years. She was a former Martha Graham prodigy.
That's okay. I was like, wait a second. I know that. How do I know that? I'm certainly not. Yeah. I'm certainly not an expert in the dance world, but I'm like, why do I know? That's why. Okay.
Yeah, and that's what people do remember.
Yes.
Who they saw, and they liked what they saw, and that does bring them back.
Yeah.
And we try, but meanwhile, these are people who are now we can almost call them our official companies. Which they like. And guess what? Every time they perform in New York, they put it in their program.
That's tremendous.
This is where we created that,
That's tremendous.
So then we had two very wonderful surprises. We had a competition, what we used to call it our Upstream series. These were emerging new companies that maybe have just started within the year or something like that. And we had never heard of them, never saw them. And we put out a thing, and some close to 60 to 70 people applied.
Wow.
And we couldn't So we chose two.
Very
And
nice.
one was here a little over a week ago, was a total surprise, thrilled the audience. Just thrilled the audience. They had to finally just walk off stage because people were standing
They
up
wouldn't let
applauding.
them leave.
That's true. Then they wanted, that was great. And then a company from Italy, Oliva, came in, and we didn't know a thing about them. And they just knocked the audience out.
That's
It was
tremendous.
one of the dancers was it was extremely contemporary style of dancing, really very abstract, and it was just wonderful. And the dancers were such versatile, very good dancers. The main dancer, and I can't tell you her name now, I'm sorry, but it's a beautiful Italian name. It's sort of
Just
one
one
of
of
those musical names.
I was just going to say that when
They're-
you
they're
say
long
it,
and
it's
they're
just
musical,
yes, and they're
and she
just the
was
name
so
alone is stunning.
beautiful.
Yes.
and she trained with the opera house she's from Venice,
Oh wow.
and she trained at the great opera house in Venice. And these are and they're come here with the company. The company just it was a very unusual piece. They worked with flashlights and got all
Oh,
kinds
cool.
of effects, and then they'd think that there would be dark, and then suddenly there would be light. And it was just a very unusual thing that people.
Very cool.
The audience agreed at the end of the program. You ain't going to see this just anywhere.
No.
And it was true.
No.
So that's the kind of thing that we're happy to have there.
Now,
So
Bentley,
we-
I have to tell you, believe it or not, I don't mean to interrupt, but we have about 5 minutes, maybe a
good.
little over 5 minutes. So I don't want to miss. Yeah, because I have been really bad and going really over on my shows lately, and I can't. So I
They
just
should
want to
give
get
you
a
more time.
I know, but we have about 5 minutes, 6 minutes. So
Okay.
who's
Well,
coming that people can
Next
see?
is the Jennifer Muller Company. They are going to be there on the 24th, and it's called Jennifer Muller, The Works, and she's a very well-established long-term thing, and she's come many times and always been a great audience pleaser.
Okay.
Ballet Next is the next company coming in on the June 7th and 8th.
Oh,
They'll be
there's two
doing
performances. Oh,
Well,
nice.
Saturday night, Sunday afternoon.
Oh, that's very
And all the
nice.
performances are 7:30. So,
Okay.
And 2:30 on Sunday afternoons. But we do specify this. These two so Jennifer Muller is doing only one performance at 7:30 on
Okay.
the 24th. Ballet Next is doing Saturday and Sunday at 7:30 and 2:30.
Very nice.
And again, that's a wonderful company. It features Michelle Wiles, who was a major principal ballerina for American Ballet Theater.
Okay.
And she was a major star. And now she's doing extremely contemporary classical ballet,
Oh,
but
very
it's on a
cool.
very extreme style. And all to live music, which is quite wonderful. Her conductor and a composer is wonderful. A lot of the people are doing live music now. It's better. You feel the vibrations of music.
Yes.
Good for the dancers. The next is New York Theater Ballet, and they've been here a number of times. They do a more classical, established ballets. They had an Anthony Tudor night in New York. Friday night, we saw them in New York, and that was just terrific. And then let's see. Then there's New York. I said New York Theater Ballet. They're also doing Saturday night and Sunday afternoon. And then we move on in, there's a little junior young people's class that Kati, the flamenco dancer who studied in Spain for 10 years. She was a graduate of Bard College, and she came back, and she's just a fantastic dancer and a great teacher. So
Oh,
there's a
that's
little
cool.
kiddie program going to happen there about Mr. Gregory's Garden. That's for young people. That'll be on June 19th.
Oh, that's a nice
at
thing.
4 p.m.
That's great.
Moving on, the big thing of the summer that helps pay the bills for the year is a thing that we call extreme ballet. And we auditioned in about 24 cities all over the United States, coast to coast, north to south. And so they come in for a 9-week summer pre-professional training. And so that's happening very quickly. And that's coming up pretty soon. That starts on June 12th. And at the end of every 3 weeks, once they start, they have an open to the public showcase.
Nice.
And there's usually about between 25 to 45 people in each one of those sessions.
You know, I almost said when you said it's coming up in a couple of weeks in June, I went, no, it isn't. And then I went, oh, no, yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And there's so
I'm like,
much
no,
work
it's
to prepare for, to get ready
not.
for them.
It's like a million years away. No, Beth, it's
Yeah.
not. June is right around the corner.
Oh,
okay.
These are young pre-professionals, and they're from all over the country. Literally.
That's beautiful.
There's quite a few come up down from Canada.
Mm-hmm.
They come from all over.
Well, yeah, because, as you started the program talking about, the need for space, the need to be able to have the space to work. And then as the interview has progressed, you talk about how companies, they will go and they will perform and they will mention that this piece was created in Kaatsbaan. And word is spreading that this is really the place to be. Look at what you can do. Look at what you can accomplish. So, when you say that you open auditions and you have all these people, it makes sense that they're coming from all over. Because look at the reputation of the organization and what you guys have done.
There's a lot of neat things about this thing. Kids come in and you see them, and they come in to study ballet, but they want to do other things. But by the end of the thing, they walk out of there ready to go out and audition for the major company.
Wow.
And guess what? Now, since they've grown up, they were little kids. They were 14 to 17, a few 18-year-olds would come in. But they were young teenagers still, and now we're seeing them come back as professional dancers.
Oh, that's cool.
And that's like they're returning. And to see them dance that well as professional dancers.
Yeah.
And then, many of the young dancers in American Ballet Theater, when we started up in 2000, those people are now principals.
How great is that?
Ballet theater company.
You can see the evolution of their talent
beautiful.
and their careers and their dreams.
And they make a lot of friends, too.
Wow.
When they come from there. The bonding between the young people is just extraordinary.
That's very cool. Now, we have a minute and a half left.
Okay.
So in a minute and a half, we got to finish this, and we have to tell people how they can get tickets and how they can find you
they
guys.
better call this number.
Okay.
Box office number. Where is it?
845-757-5106. And the menu's going to come up from Prudence, and she's going to say, box office, or her extension is 10. Either one will work.
Okay.
Plus, our website is www.kaatsbaan.org, and we can communicate with Prudence that way.
Okay.
And get your seats reserved and all taken care of.
Now, do you guys offer, if someone asked, do you have memberships, or is there any type of a giving? Like, I know some places will have like a benefactor or those kinds of things. Is any of that, or they can get that information on the website?
We are always welcoming the goodness.
Okay, got it.
Those lovely
that's why I
people.
thought I would ask the question.
And it's the only thing you can get now, because the bigger foundations, again, are doing other things, and New York City gets most of those.
Yeah.
What we get up here is everything we can, and I don't care if it's $5 to $5,000.
Right.
We like those 25,000 ones too. We get those every once in a while. Maybe from Newman's Own or somebody like that.
Right.
But at any rate, it's all of these small donations that really do add up. And
Beautiful.
the bigger they are, the more we can do.
That's
'Cause
great.
we're still growing.
Yes.
We'll be growing. We need 3 more buildings. Then we can have 2 or 3 companies there at one time.
So you guys are going to have to come back because we have 30 seconds left in the program. Any closing comments?
Well, I would like to say Gregory Carey is the artistic director, and he has his hands full. We should have about many more people working for us, but that's not possible. But and then there's Martine Van Hamel, who is the director of that summer program. Was known as the ballerina of the 20th century, and now she's an exquisite teacher. And then Kevin McKenzie is the artistic director of American Ballet Theater.
Okay.
And he's the other co-founder as well, Martine, Kevin, and Gregory Carey, and myself. And it's all in our hands. And
He's
it's
hanging
killer.
on to the side
And
of the
we
board.
have the
This is
help
when
of, Phil,
This is
and
when I wish we had a camera. Phil, any closing comments from you that you'd like to
The
make?
tease for the next program, we're going to turn 25 in November. We can come talk about that.
Yes, you will. So you both will be back. Thank you, gentlemen, both very, very much. Thank you for sharing about Kaatsbaan. Thank you for all of your time, your spirit, your energy that is infused into that building. We do so appreciate it. And you guys will be back.
We hope so.
You will. So it's that simple.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. And if there's any information that you heard on the show today that you're not sure about, here's how you can get it. You can call me 845-471-1500. You can email me, beth.christie@townsquaremedia.com, or just go to the website of the station that you're listening to right now, and you will see the link, you'll see the picture, you'll get all the information. Take care of yourself and those you love, and we'll see you right here next week.